Tom and I have a funny story. I went to a YPO event, and Tom was on a panel with a few other coaches talking. And I walked up to Tom. I didn't know who he was. Really, I never met him. And I introduced myself. And I remember in the conversation, I made a comment. I said, my team practices like a sports team, and you would probably love it. And you should check it out. It's a leadership program called Built to Lead. And that was it. And I cannot tell you the day that you just walked into my office and just walked into one of our leadership practices. I'll never forget. I still have the picture. I showed Chet the picture recently. I remember just feeling like it was a big honor to have you in the room. I didn't know you at the time, and I thought that was so cool that your Ohio State wrestling coach walked into our team practice. But what I think seared me the most was the look on your face as you were watching my team do what we do and watching our coach facilitate having this leadership team do what we were doing in this weird thing that we called practice. And I always explain it to people that, you don't become a championship team unless you practice. I mean, so why would you go to work and expect you to be a great team if you don't practice? So we gave you a taste of that. And I'd want to start by maybe just hear your take on what your memory serves as far as walking in and like what.
I mean, it was really a blessing that we were on that event together, and then we spoke after for a minute. And I think if you remember, even before I went to you, there's some belief. I know my belief system. I'm pretty strong in my belief system, and being around people that understand suffering is one that I just want people around me that whether it was self-induced suffering or outside-induced suffering, just people that have been through hard things, I'm attracted to. And I asked you also, before I went to your practice, I went to a workout in the morning at Chet's place, right? So even before I buy a piece of equipment for the team, I'll test it out. I want to know, how this thing works. Is it going to make me hurt enough? Do I like it or not? So I went to the workout, and I was amazed. I was impressed by the whole group there. Most of them were middle-aged men, and they were all tough. They were just tough, it was painful, but people pushed through their pain, and I love that. And I'm like, look, I definitely want to come to one of your practices, at Choice. And I was blown away by it. I was blown away by I'll keep using the word authenticity, but it's like, people were so authentic with each other. They were so honest with each other. Their words were to, the old truth and love, just sharing with each other. And I'm like, man, if a wrestling team could learn to communicate like your team was, we're going to be really good. And it's a culture that I want to build, or just having tough conversations. And I was blown away by it. Yeah, I was in awe.
What year was that you started?
Gosh, that was 2015, 14, maybe late 15.
So it was the year before you won the national championship.
Yeah, the year before.
And you ended up hiring Chet as your coach. Yeah. And so at the same time, I'm being coached weekly. He's coming in kicking my ass, and then he's coming over to your office and kicking your butt. So how would you describe you before Built to Lead and after, in regards to what changes did you kind of internally go through, and how much has it helped you in a way that's been noticeable to yourself?
Just in critical ways. One, I think it's made me better in every way: a better father, a better husband, a better coach. I think when I explain Built to Lead, I think one of the things. Well, first of all, self-assessment. As a wrestler, you self-assess, right? One of the beauties of the sport is that young people have an opportunity to have their life shaken up daily. Most people's lives aren't shaken up that much, but in the sport of wrestling, as a young person, you can have it rocked daily, and you have to self-assess and manage that, and it's rocked daily in a safe way. It's a sport. Losing isn't the worst thing in the world, right? But the beauty of it is that it is constantly under self-review. So I think Built to Lead really made me look inside more. That's one thing. Definitely constant self-assessment, but also no question, Built to Lead, the way Chet just runs, just his system. I think it makes things very palatable, like very digestible. Things are taught in a way that they're just, to me, they're very easy to digest and learn. So yeah, it's turned my world upside down in a really good way. It's helped my team. We're still using Built to Lead. My leadership team met yesterday. we're going through the book, right? Chet's book. Right?
I met with your leadership team in the last practice when I was there with Chet. You were sick, and it's just studs.
They're growing.
Chet pushed them to send each other their notes.
Yeah.
And then they were questioning each other, and it was a very different feel than I've seen when I've seen the big group.
Sure.
And so one of my questions I have for you is, when you see people not take to it, and there's plenty of them, it's not for everybody, right?
Right.
And our coach isn't for everybody either. Right. Just like you and I aren't for everybody. Well, you might be. I'm not.
No.
But
I know how many doses of Tom you can handle in a week.
How would you explain it though? Like, what is it that people look at therapy, look at coaching, look at self-help, look at getting better self-assessed? What is it that you think they just are repelled? Why? I mean, what's your take on that?
That's a good question. I think that often is they think they can do it, but they think they've got it, and that's a dangerous place to be. Like I think it's a dangerous place to be. I'll use a wrestling analogy. It's like anyone that's come to my program, to the Ohio State wrestling program, and they believe they've arrived, you're in trouble. Like that's the beginning of the end. You know what I'm saying? Like you won 4 state titles, and I made it to Ohio State, and my whole dream's been to wrestle at Ohio State. And like, listen, this is, you've never arrived. Like you have moments in time where, hey, we can celebrate this in your life, but there's always a chance for improvement.